I truly thought that like Miggy's contract, the one that this is going to be his last year, which again we didn't talk about. I thought that was going to be one of the last like long contracts like that because he's been hurt. Again he's top 3 right-handed hitters of all time, and he's playing until he's 39. It's like, do you want to be paying these guys when you give him the contract? I don't know how long his contract was, but obviously in the early 20s. Are we going to be banking on this, whoever it is, to be playing at this caliber level, making $30 to $40 million when he's 38, 39, 40 years old? And that's when I thought, when Miggy started getting hurt, when you could kind of see a decline in his power numbers, where I thought teams were just going to be like, we're giving 3 to 5 year contracts. That's it from a business standpoint.
Tom?
Verlander, by the way, it's a club option, but it vests if he pitches 140 innings in 2024 for $35 million last year.
I do think it's really interesting about the long contracts because you saw Pujols and you saw Miggy, and now you have Machado. Machado has an opt-out next year. Turner signed an 11-year deal. Harper signed a 13-year deal. Judge is going to sign at least 8 years, maybe 9. But I think that for those premium guys, they've decided that paying them for, whatever amount of production they'll get out of the first 5 or 6 years is worth it. But then you have, Correa goes out and signs that crazy opt-out deal with a really high AAV. Like, I think it's going to be interesting for the next 3 shortstops that sign, like what those deals look like. If they're similar in length, if one of them is a shorter, higher AAV deal or what. But it kind of runs the gamut here as far as like what teams are thinking and how they're doing. Brave just got that 3 for, was it 57 or 60? Go ahead, Dakota. Tell me, what do you got?
Oh, I just had a question. I was waiting until you finished. That's why I raised my hand and didn't say anything.
Yeah, go.
It was polite. I was going to say, I thought of this the other day. And it's way easier to say when the offer's not in front of me. But if you're someone like that and you're being offered $35 million a year from, we'll just say we're talking about Judge. It could be about anybody. Say Judge is getting offered $35 million a year from the Yankees, and the Red Sox come in and say, fuck it. Here's $45 million a year. Or like whatever, like 2 different teams. Wouldn't you at that point, like, is the extra $10 million a year really worth it? Like, wouldn't you pick the place you like more? Like, personally, I would like to think I would pick where I would like to live more, what team I'd rather play for. Like, I'll take $5 million less a year to play for that team. Because at the end of the day, what's the difference in your bank account at 30 and 35 million? Like, you have enough money to do anything you want to do forever.
Helps the guys coming up behind you.
I get that. And I know Ian hates that I asked that question, but that's how I look at it, is like, wouldn't you rather play somewhere you like to play than go play in like,
hey, guess
Cleveland?
what?
Hey, you want to go play in Cleveland for 40 million or in New York for 25? I'll play in New York. Thank you.
I will play anywhere you want.
But I'm saying, is the 5 million extra a different team is offering you per year really worth switching?
Can I give you 2 perspectives? I want to give you 2 perspectives.
Yes.
My first perspective will be more of the old school. Old school is not the right word, but the mentality of the guy that wants to win, wants to play in a certain place, right?
Yes.
John Lester took less money to be a Chicago Cub because he wanted to play in Chicago. He believed in what they were going to build, and he did that, and it worked out really well for him.
Mm-hmm.
Kershaw keeps signing hilariously undervalued 1-year deals in LA because he likes playing there, whatever the reasons are. You just watched Verlander go out and get 2 for 86. You watched DeGrom get 5 for 185. I think DeGrom and Scherzer are the same age, and Scherzer or DeGrom, Scherzer. Who am I saying? What am I saying? Kershaw just signed a 1 for 20. So
that was really bad. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, it was really bad.
That was funny. It was really funny.
I was saying names. Scherzer came up at some point. DeGrom signed a 5 for 185. Kershaw signed a 1 for 20. Okay. They're the same age. They've thrown the same amount of innings in the last 5 years, and they've been relatively of similar production. So it makes no sense, but he likes LA. He's comfortable in LA. He's played his whole career in LA. He's been really good. They have really good teams. As long as they want him, he's going to have a deal. So, it's a little bit of personal preference there. Let me say the next thing. The next thing is when guys start looking at hilarious numbers like this, like 8 for 300, like whatever the 9-year deal looks like, I think there is a little bit of psychology that is like, oh shit, like how big can we make this? If we're going back and forth between two teams, if we're getting into a bidding war, maybe those two places are both equally as attractive, and then you start pushing the market. And I think guys get really excited about pushing or the agent or whoever, and it's, pushing the market and finding as those numbers balloon, you just kind of get obsessed with that. And maybe I'm sure there's a number of guys that have looked back after they've signed deals in certain cities and it hasn't been what they wanted, but that money is always a nice cushion.
And that's, I don't want to make you, I'm not going to ask you. I was going to ask you what you do,
Come on.
but you don't know what you'll do because
No, I don't know. You don't
say
know.
you go through this year with Chicago, with the Cubs, obviously, and you become a free agent. And then you're back in the free agency and the Chicago Cubs come to you and say, we'll give you 6 for 120. And the Angels say, we'll give you 6 for 160 or 6 for 150, we'll say. What would you, I know you'd strongly consider it, but is that worth the extra, whatever it'd be a year, extra couple million a year? That's what I'm just curious. I don't know what I would do, but I feel like I would choose the situation I like more with the team I like more and give up 3-4 million a year, which, because at the end of the day, you're still making 20 million a year. And that's so much money. You have so much money.
You could go somewhere that's a better market where, the team's going to win. You're going to make more money there. If you play well, you'll get way bigger endorsements for being World Series MVP or whatever like that, opposed to, going and burying yourself somewhere for $5 to $10 million more dollars. So it's tough. There's just a lot to think about, I think.
And that's, the main person that comes to mind is Chris Bryant because he went to Colorado. They're not a very good team, made a lot of money. And it's one of those, it depends. I'm just curious what other people, for Aaron Judge is my main curiosity of would he take 20 million less on the total contract to stay in New York? Or would he rather have that extra 20 million with the Giants? I think his comes down to years more than money, but I'm just curious. I want to see what his final offers are when he decides, just to see what he chose.
For sure. And I think his situation is really interesting because he set himself up because he had the best year ever. And he has the team that he's played for his whole career in New York where people love him and they know they're going to be in the playoffs every single year. And then he also has the team across the country that has a great track record, has put together winners, is willing to pay him, and it's where he grew up, and he's probably super familiar and loves that city too. So he's put himself in a pretty good win-win spot. And
sure.
If he goes and takes more money to go play in San Francisco, I would hate the narrative that he sold out for the money because that's also an unbelievable situation.
He also has
but Tom will run that. Tom will run with that.
No, but that's what I'm not saying people sell out if they take the bigger deal. Because I don't know what I would do. Who knows? If someone offers me this, and exactly like you said, Aaron Judge is from California. I couldn't call him a sellout if he went home to play for a good team. The Giants, it's not like he's joined. They're not very good, but they're paying me a lot. It's going to be a good baseball team.
And yeah, dude, there's something about playing for some guys like playing for home and some guys don't want to play for home, or close to home. It's it's just that much added. I don't want to say stress or pressure, but it's people asking for tickets all the time. I'm sure he's gone through it all before, but he's played literally across the country his whole career. It's not like he's been that accessible to where he could have people come out of the woodwork saying, which I'm sure he still does, but being home and where you're from makes that 100 times worse, or he could say, yeah, I want to go home. I want to be home. I haven't played close to my family at all. And like you said, if he says that, who am I to say he's a sellout? Who is anybody to say he's a sellout?
Exactly. Because you never know the real reason. The money's obviously a big factor, but there's other factors involved than just the contract. Go ahead, Ian.
Tom, you were going to say something. Was it about Aaron Judge? You were going to call him a sellout if he goes to the West Coast? What were you going to say?
No,
I will 100% say that.
No, I think I'm more rational than a lot of other Yankee fans. I'd be curious to see what they would say. I think you guys made a really compelling argument. The argument for San Francisco is really strong for him in his circumstances. I think the Yankee argument that I was going to bring up the case for staying a Yankee is that he's probably going to be named captain the day he signs that contract.
Yes.
He's as we talked about last week, he's probably going to, there's a lot of things in terms of, it's really about, in my mind.
But he's the captain. He's the captain regardless.
No,
Well,
they actually
but
have
there's
a
something
captain?
there's something
Yeah.
special about being named.
I totally
the New York
totally get it.
Yankees.
But like he walks around with an S on his chest, not just a C, an S.
Well, and
Ooh.
Wow.
we've heard from people that played with him or currently play with him, and like they're like, yeah, like he's the leader. It's not like, oh, like by default, it's like, no, like he is the leader.
Right.
like,
So
No,
in
yeah,
the
obviously
clubhouse.
the last captain was Jeter, which I totally understand. That is something that you can't put a price on. You can't. But
Well, you remember in the
It's-
doc, he didn't get it until he signed back.
right.
He was
and
like a free agent, and they didn't
for
know if they were
sure.
going to sign him back.
and it's not like I don't know. It's
To me, the argument is, do you want home or do you want legacy? And I don't think there's a wrong choice. Like, I think if you want to play at home and you want to have an opportunity to win championships at home, you can do that. And I don't think anyone can dispute that.
You're going to bury him if he leaves. Oh my
Bury him.
gosh.
How
You're
could you
setting
give
it
up
for-
being the captain of the Yankees? How could you give that up?
But I agree with Tom.
Been the
I
captain of
think-
the Yankees.
Zach, I'm surprised you don't find that a bigger deal being from New York. Like, I feel like that's kind of like, I'm not saying that's going to
no.
Like
I think
being a Mets
if-
fan, I'm surprised you don't find that a bigger deal.
no. I
but
think
he loved Jeter.
yeah. Like I think hearing from Scott with how much like of a leader he's been, like I just think it goes without saying. Like I think if Steinbrenner came up to him and said, "Hey, we're gonna make you the captain. Do you want to sign back here?" He'd be like, "Go ask the 26 other guys in there. I am the captain. That's me.
Yeah.
I hold these meetings. I am the one who's speaking. Like everybody follows what I do. And I'm not saying he does that, obviously, but it's like, yeah, obviously that holds a lot of weight and a lot of merit. But is that going to get him? Is that going to be the selling point to get Aaron Judge back in New York? Hey, you're going to be
No.
the captain.
No, but there's something to say that it's the only team. I think it's the only team really, like, I mean, in hockey, they still do it, but it's like the only team in sports that the captain still means something. Like if the Mets say, oh, Frankie Lindor's our captain, it's like, oh, cool. Nice.
No,
Don't football
totally,
teams have
totally get it.
captains?
What'd you say?
Don't football teams have
They
captains?
have like 4 or 5. They have
Yeah,
like
they have
5
too
or
many.
6 captains.
Every quarterback's a
Yeah,
captain.
it's like you got a kicker, a punt. Like it's a bunch of like.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
always, brother.
Should baseball teams have captains?
If
Should they
if
give
you-
out
I
should they
don't
give
think,
out captaincies in baseball?
I don't think it should be like, oh, you have to have a captain. Like if
I think
no one's
if-
really
yeah.
worthy of being a captain, then your team doesn't have a captain. But like if you got someone like Anthony Rizzo should have had a C on his chest in Chicago.
I always wished he had a C on his chest,
Yes, but that's what I mean. Like there's certain players where it's like that guy should have a C on his chest.
But I think every team, again, I'm speaking about like the 3 teams that I've know people on, but in like listening to people talk, like I think every team has somebody they go to, whether it's a vet or somebody who's won before or somebody who leads by example. Like I think every team, whether they want it or not, has their own captain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, but like Ian, to Ian's point, I feel like there's certain situations where it's like this one guy is the guy. Like I
Yeah,
feel like in
for
other
sure.
locker rooms, like wouldn't you say like some pitchers have like a pitcher captain and then there's like a position player captain? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like with the Chicago, I mean, you had Lester there too, but like Ian, I know you were in the locker room. Wouldn't you say like Riz was like the guy?
Yeah, Riz was the guy.
Like if it came down to it, he was the one talking.
And now it's crazy that Riz goes to the Yankees where it's still like what he did in Chicago for that. And then now he has Judge there too, where it's like either of those guys can speak. And guess what? I'm listening.
Tom wants to talk about Roman. We're going to talk about Roman. Okay, this question about Carlos Rodon is going to be brought to you by Roman. That's Roco backslash backslash. What's a backslash and what's a slash? Can we get into that for a second? Which one's which? Anybody know?
I can't speak intelligently on it.
I have no idea.
I'm going to
Roco-
say when it goes like down, it starts low, like left to top, bottom left to top right is /. top left to bottom right is backslash is how I would view it.
All right. So it's just slash.
Uh-huh.
Roco/compound. That's RO.CO/compound.
Do you want a better sex life? If so, you're not alone. But Roman is here to help. Roman is the digital health clinic for men, addressing a variety of sexual health needs and offering genuine medication that helps achieve and maintain a strong erection. Roman offers discreet wipes that help you last 4 times longer in bed. At Roman, there are no waiting rooms. There's no hassle. It's a straightforward digital experience from the comfort of your own home. If medication or testing is appropriate, Roman will send it directly to your door. Everything arrives in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping. To learn more about how you can achieve your own personal health sexual goals, go to ro.co/compound. Again, to achieve your personal sexual health goals, go to ro.co/compound. That's ro.co/compound. Get 20% off your entire first order.
That's my captain right there.
Ro.co. Ro.co.
I've seen 2 things on Twitter I'd like to update before we get back to Rodon.
Please.
One, Aaron Judge is at the football game tonight with a Mike Evans jersey on, a.k.a. Aaron Judge to the Tampa Bay Rays. They're opening up the checkbook.
Hey.
There he goes. 2, I see that John Lester is helping sell Xander Bogart or sell the Cubs to Xander Bogaerts.
I actually just saw that too, that they met with Bogaerts and Rossi. Mike Napoli and John Lester have been selling Bogaerts. For everyone in the audience, those guys all played together in Boston and I believe won the 2013 World Series together.
That's so sneaky that Xander Bogaerts was on that team.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Sneaky. I think it was his rookie year. But they have the guys that I know that have played with Xander have spoken very, very highly of him.
But what's funny to me is like, just pay him. Like, what do you need to sell him on? Like, it's Chicago. It's a great city. Like, what do you? It's the best fan base. Like, it's a great. Like, I mean, you just pay him.
Did I tell you the story about Bogaerts last year when we were playing them? When it was like August, hot as balls, and I think it was their first day in Detroit. And him and Scope are really close from being from Curacao together. And he gets there and on the road, you know how like they can have the field from like 2 till 3:30, whatever. And this dude is out there at 2:00, cut off shirt, absolutely drenched, hitting like 300 at the time with 20 homers, whatever it is. And Scope goes out to him and he's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I got to find it, man. I got to find it. And me and Scope are just looking at each other like, you have to be kidding me right now. Like that. I just feel like every time I hear something about Xander Bogaerts, it's like, okay, open the book, whatever he wants.
I don't think I've heard a bad thing about Xander Bogaerts, and I hate the Red Sox. So
can I say something, Dakota? To your point about what do you need, just pay him. Mm-hmm. I think he's the type of dude that wants to win. Like he wants to win so bad. He probably wants to know the direction of whatever franchise he's going to play for, when they're going to win, when they're going to compete. Because like that, what I've heard about Xander is that he's very similar to Nico in the sense that like, or Nico's very similar to him, that like only cares about baseball, only wants to win, just wants to like, it's just winning. And,
he'd be so perfect to have with Nico then.
He probably wants to be sold on like, hey, how are you gonna put together a winner so I can compete in the playoffs? So
but also,
can I ask my question?
Sorry, I was gonna say, but why is John Lester the person to ask for that? Why would John Lester know when they're gonna win? John Lester doesn't know what Jed Hoyer's gonna do and who he's gonna sign.
I mean, if I'm Jed and I'm trying to sell anybody on the Chicago Cubs, I'm saying, hey, John, why don't you tell them about the 6-year deal that you got here, how awesome it was, how you won a World Series, and how you're an absolute legend in this city.
Well, you had Theo Epstein then too, which, played a factor.
If you're Carlos Rodon,
yes,
and you're getting offers from all of the teams that are in the market, they're paying guys that want to win, where are you going? You have your pick. Where are you going?
Chicago Cubs. Final answer.
Probably Detroit.
Detroit.
Why are you going to play for the Cubs? Go now. Go.
Because they're going to sign Xander, and he'll talk to John Lester, be like, hey, man, the mound's really contoured well for lefties. We both throw lefty. Yeah, man, join the Cubs. No, but actually, I'd probably go to the New York Yankees. If the New York Yankees offered me, I'd be like, yep, let's do it. Why would I not want to go to the team that on paper probably has, well, I don't know. The Phillies are making a push now for the on paper best roster.
The Astros
are
are bringing back the same team.
Yeah, I'll never buy in on the Astros. Are cheaters.
Jesus, Dakota.
Dodgers?
What? I don't care. I stand by that. I'm a free agent. I could say whatever I want.
Dodgers or Mets?
Dodgers or Mets? I'd go to the Mets. Join that rotation.
So-
You're the number 3. There's no pressure on you.
Mets, Yankees, Phillies. Where are you going? If you're Rodon.
There's no pressure on being the Mets number 3 starter behind Scherzer and Verlander. And
don't
they'll
want the
pay
pressure?
you. And they have fake money, so they'll just give you their monopoly hundreds and say, "Here's more. Here's more."
Zach, if you're a starting pitcher, where are you going?
Wherever. See, I don't know if I'd want to be more of the number 1 or want to win, but I also wouldn't. I don't like joining a super team. To me is like, I get it because they're kind of have to be on a super team to win now. But
who do you consider a super team?
Would you call the Astros a super team?
But there's like 6 super
no,
teams.
but I'm saying like if you were to go to the Dodgers, like again, I know that they didn't win, but like that payroll and those players are just like, if you go to the Dodgers, I don't know. It's just something about, hey, he's going to the Dodgers. I'm like, oh, well, who doesn't want to
Can
go
I
to the
just say
Dodgers?
real quick, the Dodgers don't have, as of right this second, they don't have Bellinger, Trea Turner, or Justin Turner.
Right. But Bellinger wasn't even really a guy.
I'm just
for them
saying,
this
team
year.
looks a little different.
I think
I mean,
Justin
you
Turner. I
still
think
got
Justin
Freddie
Turner
and Mookie.
resigns. And
Freddie, okay, wait, time out. I'm going to keep interrupting you. You said Freddie and Mookie. I got Tom screaming about how 2 good players don't make a. Don't make
Okay.
a
I
team.
mean, do you want? I didn't want to interrupt Zach with 8 names. I can give you 6 more. Trace Thompson, ever heard of him? Will Smith, good catcher. Who
Gavin
plays second
Lux.
base for him? I'm sure he's good.
Gavin Lux.
Gavin Lux, good player.
He's gonna
Center
have to play
fielder,
shortstop.
Chris Taylor, good player. Who's at shortstop? They'll probably sign Carlos Correa because why not? They're the Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's my
Zach,
point.
where are you going?
I'm going to the Mets. No, I don't know where I'm going.
You're going to the Mets.
Was Ian just trying to convince us the 111 win Dodgers team wasn't that good?
No,
I'm
he's trying.
saying
He's saying
I'm
they
saying it's
lost
gonna look-
pieces. He's saying they
I'm
lost.
saying it's going to
pieces.
look a little different next year than it did last year.
Hey, honestly, Astros would be a really good sign since they just lost Verlander.
Yeah, and they'll give you all their tips and tricks on how to get outs.
I think that would be awesome. to
They're
be
all
honest.
legal too. I swear.
That was my sneaky pick for him was maybe the Astros come in, make a deal. I don't know.
I got you,
Saying,
Tom.
but-
I'm taking them down. They're cheaters. They're cheaters. Yankees would have won the World Series if they didn't cheat.
Tom, where are you going if you're Rodon?
Oof.
Are the Yankees in on
mean-
him?
What's that?
Are the Yankees talking to him, you know?
I just read a tweet that they asked Aaron Boone about Rodon, and he had a big smile on his face apparently, and said he's a very good pitcher. You know,
I
but
mean-
that's the most
Ooh.
generic thing. I mean, obviously he's a very good pitcher. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I'd probably go to the Yankees. That's what I'm a fan of. But if I was actually Carlos Rodon, I do think the Astros would make a lot of sense. You know, the team that just lost a key pitcher. Whatever you want to say about their pitching factory, they definitely were able to turn someone like Verlander, who was really struggling, and were able to, whatever they did, make him into a much better pitcher. So I do think somewhere like Houston makes a lot of sense. Although I would love to talk about the fact that the Houston won the World Series, and Jeff Bagwell and other people out here saying, like, we got to get rid of all the analytics now. Like, we're too analytics heavy. Do they forget that they won the World Series? Like, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are they trying to change their entire front office?
Tom,
That does not make sense.
can I ask you a question? Are you tweeting during the podcast? Are you
I did
like,
see that. I
Throwing,
did see his
you
tweet.
throwing
Did tweet
tweets out
it.
there while we're recording?
He's got to stay on the judge news. I
Trying
respect
to be
it.
current, huh? Trying
Ian,
to be current.
Ian, I have a
He
question.
definitely didn't tweet it from the compound account. What do you got, Dakota?
Wouldn't you say a team like the Cubs, who didn't have a very good year, not a terrible year, but not a great year, didn't make the playoffs, a non-playoff team like the Cubs, wouldn't you say that they'd have to pay a little more than, say, the Yankees or Mets or Dodgers to try to get Rodon? just because like to Rodon, it's like, hey, if I'm getting the same offer from the Cubs as I'm getting from the Mets, why would I not go to the Mets? They're a better team currently.
I think
on
this
paper.
is I think this is the game. And the game is, can the Cubs or any team get that guy for slightly less because of the city, the fan base,
Sure.
the selling him on the dream, like this is the best place to play. It's the best fan base. We play in the
Best left
historic
fielder in the
stadium. There's
league.
good food. You're gonna love everything about this city. You're gonna have a boat. It's gonna be great. Like, can they sell him on that to make him buy into the dream and save a few bucks, or do they just go out and pay him? I don't know. But they were able to, that's a good question. But I think you would have said the same thing about John Lester in 2015. You would have said, like, wouldn't the Cubs have to pay more because they just lost 100 games in 2014? But no, they didn't. They got John to, like you said, Theo and Jed were with John in Boston and everything. But they got John to buy in on being a Chicago Cub and what that meant. And then 2 years later, they win the World Series. So I think it's all just depends on the player.
And I think it's overlooked to that point how much of an effect Theo Epstein had, because like once he took over, it's like, yeah, I want to go play for it, because like he's going to make it a winning team. Like he's not going to sit there and let the team keep losing. Like John Lester knew like he's going to make moves.
And Jason Hayward took less money too.
True.
He took less money to come be a Cubby.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of significantly less. And that's all part of it. And what Dombrowski's doing in Philly, like guys know that Dombrowski's going to go spend a shit ton of money, and like he's lived up to that expectation. Before we do Sloan screen time, I had one more question for you guys that I seem to have forgotten. I can't remember. I think
Did you take any show notes?
What?
Did you take any notes?
I have show notes, yeah, but I didn't write my question in my show notes, which is kind of amateur hour of me. I should have wrote my question in my show notes.
Embarrassing.
Let's jump into Sloan screen time, and if I remember my question, I'll ask it.
Yeah, mine still says 2 hours, so that we know that's not true.
5:35. See, but it sucks because I don't go to bed till like 12.
This sounds like an excuse, no?
It's really not. Like I go to bed like after midnight because
Yeah.
what am I doing with my life?
I
So
wait.
that's
I
like
wake
an
up-
extra 30 minutes that count to today, which kind of stinks.
Yeah, for
But
sure,
I guess
man.
it's not counting tonight's towards today, so it evens out. 5:35. Don't care.
5'9".
Ah!
Wait, Dakota, you're 5:35.
Yes.
I'm also 5:35. That's
Oh,
wild.
let's go! Huge
We're just
time.
gonna see
Four,
If you didn't tweet, you would have beat me.
True. Well,
hey, 454 for me. 454.
Oh,
I will take that
That's
W.
a high day for you.
Hour back. What do you mean?
Ooh, you do have an hour.
But that's just a competitive advantage that I have, much like the Astros.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't mean that.
That
I
stays. We
was
are not
traveling a
cutting that.
lot. I was traveling a lot in the last couple of days or last couple of weeks. And I got to see a lot of different Sloan flushers and faucets. I mean, old ones, new ones. I could have had a catalog to look at all the models. They're everywhere. A lot of airports.
I was worried about the wedding I was at. I was like, if we don't have Sloan flushers, I'm going to be, drinking a lot. Luckily, Mike Mara's wedding, shout out friend of the compound, had Sloan flushers. We were all good. Could go pee.
The guy knows, man. He knows.
He knows.
Thank God.
Oh, you know what else was cool to see with the Spotify Wrapped, where they wrap up your year? A lot of people tweeting at us showing that we were like in their top 5. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to say thanks to the people. You know what else I want to say to the people? We haven't done this in a while, but like, subscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, like,
Break your
comment. We could use some of those. If you're bored, if you want to go on and just shoot us a like, but also make sure that
Like
you
our
subscribe
TikToks
so that
too.
when we and our tweets and that Tom does from his own account before he does from our account, and just all the things.
Tweeting about Mike Talkman. If you want me to tweet about that from Compound, I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah. But seriously, the subscribe and resubscribe and unsubscribe and then subscribe again and maybe
Leave a
like
comment.
and rate
Leave a
and
little
comment.
review. We need more reviews. Leave lots of
Yeah.
comments.
That would be nice for us.
Unless
We
they're
haven't
mean
really
reviews.
pumped that
We
in a
don't
while.
want to hear the mean ones.
Only
But hey, we need to build off them. Find out what we're doing wrong.
That's true.
Go back into the lab and then come back ready the next week.
I'm going to think of my question and then I'm going to ask it next week. That's 137 or 38. Tom is not sure of the Compound Podcast, and we'll see you next week.